The party that gets the vote is the party that gets the smoke. Remember that. Now. Reparations, and so do their families. Native Americans get reparations. Holocaust survivors get reparations.
Right is right and wrong is wrong. If you're not supposed to be in our country illegally, then you got to go, okay?
We are always overrepresented in the worst statistics. 15-20% of the population and more than 50% of homeless families. This ain't nothing we've done wrong. This is about the wrong that come with policies specifically for Black Americans. That is not a race-based policy. That's lineage-based. And America can definitely do that. We have to stop.
Reparations, and so do their families. Native Americans get reparations. Holocaust survivors get reparations. Japanese Americans got reparations from this here land. But who built this here land?
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to 50 Shades of Greg with Greg Marcel Dixon. Thank you for coming in this evening. If you are in the chat, if you can do three things for me, please. If you can hit the like button, okay? If you can share this broadcast, and if you have not, if you can please subscribe, okay? So let's hit the like button, share this broadcast, and hit the subscribe button. Okay, so this evening I'm going to be joined by another person that helped me co-host this particular broadcast. But before I get into that, I want to really talk about this particular topic. Now, we always hear about black on black crime, black on black crime, black on black crime. It's one of the oldest, most tired, most disingenuous, untrue stereotypes that's promulgated to try to make it seem that when other issues have issues, it's something that has been done to them. It's something where the government has failed them. However, when the Black American community has issues, they always try to make it seem like there is some flawed characteristic that is really, really prevalent in our community. Like there's something wrong with us, as if we're doing something that's so bad that other groups do not do. If we want to play that game, if we want to talk about Black Americans just focusing on Freeman FBA, if we want to talk about things that has happened in other communities that has not happened in ours, what you will find is that Freeman FBA, Black Americans, we are the only group in America technically with a history of not enslaving other people, okay? We're the only group technically in America with a history as far as multi-generational Americans that have been in this country for centuries. We're the only group at large in America that does not have a history of oppressing and going after the rights of other people. So if people want to talk about unique characteristics that are unique to us, they need to talk about all the good. But when you have crime committed in the Black community by a Black person, you usually have this old, tired lie about black on black crime that's promulgated. And yet, what I'm going to discuss tonight is a crime that is done by and large to Black people, especially Black men. But it happens to Black women as well, as we will discuss this evening. And that is the fact that close to 60% of people who are exonerated in the carceral system are Black people, okay? So close to, I'm going to say it again, 60% of people who are wrongly, not just wrongly arrested, but wrongly convicted, meaning they've gone to court and they've been found guilty, are Black people. It's funny how that never comes up when you hear about that tired, phony, untrue, anti-Black, Black and Black crime BS that is promulgated and spread throughout the media, throughout the country. They never talk about the fact that you have 60%, close to 60% of Black people behind bars today who are serving time for a crime they did not commit. Now, before I go into the data about this, I already want to talk about the coonery that has been spread by some people in my mention. Some people was like, well, that doesn't mean the person who did it, though, was not black. First of all, shut up. Second of all, it's not about whether the person who actually committed the crime is black or not. It's about the fact that when a person is wrongly arrested, they are nearly all the time going to be a black person who's put behind bars for a crime they did not do. Who's the real criminal, as far as that is concerned, is irrelevant, okay? What really matters is that the person behind bars is an innocent black person, usually a black man, but in some cases, black woman as well. That is what matters. Second of all, I'm going to destroy that whole black on black crime lie in a future broadcast. I love destroying that lie. I love dismantling that anti-black racist lie that has its roots in anti-black racism towards Freeman Foundational Black Americans. I'm going to do that in the second broadcast, but one of the main components as to why the black on black crime lie is so disgusting and disingenuous is because they have you thinking that every crime that happens in a majority black area or that impacts a black person must have been done by a black person. Because truth be told, most violent crime in America is intraracial, not interracial, intraracial. Intra means within. So it happens between the same racial groups. So you can safely assume that if a violent crime has happened to a black person, it was probably another black person that did it. If a violent crime happens to a white person, probably another white person that did it. If a violent crime happens to an Asian person, there's probably another Asian person that did it, and so forth and so on. With Native Americans and all racial groups. Ethnicity is another thing. I'll talk about that in a future broadcast as well. Because a black person in America doesn't mean that they are a black American, a black person who is a descendant of American slaves and emancipated people. We already, a lot of y'all watching me already understand breaking down delineation and lineage. So that's something I'll get into later on for any person who's watching that may not get that. However, people always assume that if a crime happens to a violent crime in particular, because violent crime tends to be the most devastating, okay? Yes, economic crimes are serious and severe. Truth be told, one of the most prevalent forms of violent crime are the conditions that our communities are in, and these leaders, these black leaders especially, because you think they will be the ones going to bat for us, but these leaders for whom we vote, the Democratic Party, the leadership is whom I refer to as the Democrats, for whom we vote, that would not even exist without the black vote. The true violent crime are the conditions in which our communities are in. And yet when other groups, when their communities are in shambles or in an awful condition, they're coming up with resources. When it was the crack epidemic that they brought to black neighborhoods, they told us just say no and ushered in increased, because mass incarceration was already happening. They increased mass incarceration, okay? That was the help, quote unquote, we got. They ushered in the damn drugs, heroin first and then crack. I know some people like to say, well, there's no proof of that. Oh, please, please. This country has been pushing drugs, forcing it on black Americans since the days of chattel slavery. So even if there's no quote unquote proof, which there is, there's definitely precedent. And there is proof in regards to the heroin epidemic. Okay? Black people aren't controlling the ports, the airplanes. Okay? We're not controlling any of the major trade routes. So it ended up in our community some goddamn how. Now look at white Americans with the opioid crisis. By the way, we know white Americans are on crack too. But look at white Americans with the opioid crisis. They're getting all sorts of resources, programs. The whole approach shows them is therapeutic. The whole approach shows them is reform. Okay, I digress. So my point is, with a violent crime, and again, the most violent crimes are committed are the conditions in which our community are in. But when a violent crime on the street level happens, we imagine that every victim has a separate individual who has done the crime to them. So if I am a victim of violent crime, we imagine that's one black person who was a criminal, and let's say a person with me is a victim of violent crime. We think that, okay, a separate black person victimized them. No, to the idiots out there, sometimes it's the same person committing a series of crimes. There is data to back that, okay? You usually have the same person committing a series of crimes. So remember that. So stop thinking because you read about a shootout or a series of shootings in a majority black community. First of all, stop assuming that the person is black, because there was a case, I think in Missouri and I think in Illinois and Chicago, where they did have some white men who were going on a shooting spree, and come to find, they were thinking it was black people doing it. Come to find out it was white men that was doing it. Okay, that does happen. You have some police precinct where they were planting drugs on black people, mainly black men. So first of all, let's stop assuming that it's always a black person committing the crime just because the victims are black. And even if the person, the criminal, is a black person committing the crime, stop assuming that they have just one victim, when usually a dusty is usually going around wreaking havoc in the community. They don't usually let violent, deprived criminals wreak havoc in white communities. Oh, no. But they'll let them out in our communities in a minute. They'll throw people in prison, give them these crazy long sentences for something as minute as, I don't know, marijuana. But a dusty who's committing severe crimes, it seems like they can never be thrown in prison. Okay? Number 3, we are not going to judge our community by the lowest common denominator. Okay, that's not done for any community but ours. That's going to stop. If we want to do that for our community, then we need to do it for all others. And there is way more to go around than a lot of others, okay? First and second. And if we want to talk about black on black crime, we better talk about the crime for centuries that has been done to black people. It has been shown already that violent crime especially correlates with deep generational poverty. That's not an excuse, but it's definitely a correlation. And the truth of the matter is less. I love throwing this statistic out. And if anyone can disprove it, which I've been saying this for now, I don't know, close to a decade when I came across it, less than 1% of the black community commits a violent crime any given year. It's been that way even during the days before it was the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and it was I forgot what the FBI was originally called, Office of Federal Investigations. They were called something like that. Even then, when you had people like that Hoover punk over it, trying to frame black people, even then, it was less than 1% of the black community on any given year committing a violent crime. But what about the violence that's done to us? We're going to talk about one aspect of that violence, and we're going to talk about this statistic right here. I'm going to share my screen, then I'm going to have Miss Giselle, and she'll join us by coming off her camera. I'm going to bring Miss Giselle in. But we are talking about this statistic right here today. Something that for some reason gets left out a lot. I don't know why, but we need to talk about this a lot more. And after we delve into this, I have some people who may have not been sentenced to prison, but they've experienced a lot of what leads to this, okay? So we are going to talk about the fact that this statistic here gets ignored a lot, and we're going to talk about why nothing is done about it. We're going to talk about why it happens, which that's an easy answer. We know why it happens. We're going to ask, why are these so-called leaders we have right now not doing a damn thing about it? And then we're going to talk about what we need to do about it. Y'all, I am tired, because what we need to do about it is really the same answer all the time. I don't know what we're waiting for. Some of us have to learn that we have to stop talking tough and being tough in the streets, and we have to start being tough politically as well. Okay? If we're going to be tough in the streets, let's be tough politically as well. Because this right here, let me share my screen. This right here is unacceptable. And honestly, It is showing no signs of getting better. It is showing no signs of getting better. I haven't heard of any initiative to address it. I don't even hear an outcry about this. I hear more of an outcry about illegal immigrants not getting catered meals. I don't know why the StreamYard is not going to the shared screen. I hear more about illegal immigrants not getting catered meals. Okay? I hear more about people who've come in our country illegally being separated from their children at the border. But truth be told, if you commit a crime and you are arrested, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if y'all can even hear me. If you commit a crime and you are arrested, yeah, you tend to get separated from your damn family. No one seemed to care when Black Americans were getting thrown in prison for minor infractions, the most minute infractions. And now for things we didn't even goddamn do. This is unacceptable here. Oh, by the way, this is only the exonerations of which we know. I want y'all to keep that in mind. This is not talking about all the innocent Black men, Black women behind bars right now whom we don't know. These are just the ones of whom we know. Okay? What about the many more that we don't know? Oh, and by the way, check this out. Check this out right here. I am not a mathematician, everyone. My main focus in education, which, by the way, I don't know if y'all know, I'm back to working full time. I didn't really want to. I was doing gigs. I wanted to keep time to focus on the campaign, right? Because y'all, you can't work full time. I don't know how some people do it. Full time, a family, and then run a campaign. It was going to wear me out and kill me mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. So I was just doing gigs and balancing out that way. But economic circumstances warranted me to return to work full time, and I'm still doing gigs. Of course, I'm going to give my all to the campaign, okay? Of course I am. That's why I started phone banking, a way that I can still talk to people in my district. But y'all had no choice to do it. But in any case, y'all, that was just a side note. That's just a little side note about something that's going on with me personally here. But look at this right here, y'all. African Americans, we know a lot of us may not like that term. I know that's okay, though. 56% of all death sentence exonerees. What they're not telling you right here is that some of the people were killed already who were later found to be innocent. 55% of wrongful murder convictions that resulted in imprisonment. 54% of wrongful murder convictions in which exonerees were sentenced to imprisonment for terms of years. Now, someone did the math, and they said that if you take this standard here, that means 1 out of every 5 convictions that happen, that means 1 out of every 5 convictions of a Black person in America, that person is innocent. Can y'all imagine? 1 out of every 5 convictions of a Black person in America, there's an innocent person who is sentenced to prison for something they did not do. That is jarring. That's a constitutional crisis. Ms. Giselle, welcome to the broadcast.
Okay. Oh, there it is. There it is. There was so many complications. I came in like 3 times, like, what's going on here? But yes, hello, everybody. And I'm so glad we're having this conversation right now. And I can't wait for us to expand it even more, because after that boat incident, and among all of the things that you just mentioned, this confirms even more of the reasons why we deserve reparations, and why not only deserve, but especially the federal and the state protections. We have several levels to this repair, and they don't talk about, like what you mentioned with the drug addicts, the Caucasian drug addicts today. They get repair immediately. our repairs come in a reactive state. So they are due more to us. So I'm so glad you're unpacking this on your show, and thank you for having me.
You are welcome, Mr. Zell. Y'all check this out. It says that Black people are nearly 8 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of murder. I think when you consider all crimes, y'all, I don't think there are crimes any more impactful, any more irreversible than murder. Mutilation, rape, all those things are awful. But murder, the finality of murder is so powerful. And yet, dog, Black Americans are 8 times more likely to be wrongly convicted of murder than white people. And by the way, yes, there are white people, mainly white men among white people who are wrongfully in prison as well. But like Mr. Zell said, it happens far, 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 far less than it does to Black people. And when it is a white person, it's usually a white person that, be honest with you, white society can care less about. Like a white person that they may consider trailer trash or something like that. But even they rarely have it happen to them. It's happening to us. But let's keep reading. It says right here, 80% more likely to be innocent than others of convicted murder overall. This is disgusting. So right now we have 2 people who are joining us that have not been sentenced, have not been convicted and sentenced to prison, but they are here to share their experiences about how easy it is for this to happen to any of us. Okay? And y'all, it goes for me. I'm running against a powerful, powerful man, James Clyburn. Okay? I am not just running against him. I have a lawsuit in which he's included. Okay? It's easy for him to pull some strings, trump up some false charges, and have it happen to me. And don't think they won't do it to me. If they're doing it to Trump, and by the way, do I feel that there may be some validity to some of the things, of the indictments Trump's facing? Probably. But do I feel that a lot of the stuff is BS and the real reason they're going after Trump like this is because they know, oh yes, if you are in the chat, please hit the like button. Please share the broadcast and subscribe if you have not. Y'all know I'm doing this because I enjoy it. I hate it and enjoy it. I love the educational aspect. I love the talking about issues that are of substance. I love giving, my platform might be small, but I love giving a voice to people who are voiceless. That's one of the reasons why I ran. Who's more voiceless than an American freedman? A Black person who's a descendant of the Black people who built this nation, fought for their emancipation, are still owed reparations. The other groups have gotten it, but we ain't seen a penny. But y'all, it's easy for Clyburn to pull some strings, and he can pull some strings, and it will never, ever, ever be traced back to him. It's easy for him to do that. I'm not saying he would, but maybe someone who's close to him would. Okay? So this could happen to me, and it may not have nothing to do with Clyburn. Y'all know how many teachers have gotten locked up because some damn child lied on them? Do y'all know how many parents I know who have gotten locked up because their own child lied on them? And yeah, they look like us a lot of times. A lot of times. I know people personally. Now, keep in mind, y'all, there aren't that many Black people, period, in the education system. There aren't that many Black teachers. And yet, the few teachers I know that actually had to face charges, even though it was dropped, but their reputation took a major hit, were Black. Most teachers are white women. And yet, the few instances I can think of when teachers, coaches, bus drivers have gotten locked up, they've been Black. It is too easy for our constitutional rights to be violated. So, Ms. Giselle, I would like for you to introduce the guests we have for tonight, since you know them and you brought their stories to me.
Oh, absolutely. So tonight we have our sister Aunt La. She's actually from the New Jersey area, and her story is very heartwarming, but it's like, I'm not heartwarming, but it's like a nightmare. This sister was actually standing up for people on her job, and she was fired.
That's why they went after. That's what they did.
For being on FMLA that was approved. And that's against the law. You're supposed to be protected by the law. But this is when the I'm white and I say so goes into place. So Aunt Li's story is it's a story that many have, but their voices are never heard. So we wanted to bring those voices to the forefront and let them know their story is not only important.
And Miss Giselle, is her real? Is her? I don't know.
It's
I don't know if Aunt Li wants to give her real name. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
she calls her Aunt Li, but maybe people want to know her real name to look up her story if it's out there and try to support. You just never know. My platform is small, but you just never know, and they may want to look her up and maybe help out.
Absolutely, and yes, her name is Larisha Speaks, and you can actually find her almost everywhere, including Amazon, because she has a book that actually is supporting her financially because they blacklisted her. To get employment is even hard for her to do, and she's going against the people of her state. So it's so important. Like, stories like this are very strong. So I'm gonna just pass the mic to that sister.
And who else do we have here?
And we have Mrs. Melissa Brooks. Missy B goes by Missy B. She actually in Baltimore, where she was accused of a crime when she wasn't even present where it was located. As a matter of fact, she was doing a double on her job. So they came to her home and left her son crying in the middle of, I think he was either on the floor because he was eating cereal, getting ready for to go to summer camp, and crying. He just wanted to go to his mother. He didn't know what was going on. All of the cops rammed into her home for a crime of stealing weave, okay? Less than $100. All of these people had guns drawn on her and her children for this. And here it is. This sister was just getting ready for work. She went to school. She did everything the right way. And this sister was actually forced into jail. And when she was in jail, the experience was so disrespectful. They talked down to this sister. And not only that, they didn't expect for her to get out because they never see our people get out, even if they're falsely accused of things like this. So that's another reason why that sister's story is so important to be heard. And we're trying to fight to get real, like, powerful legal representation for her and our sister Larisha.
We lost Miss Melissa. Melissa's her name. We lost Melissa, but hopefully she'll come back. Right. But I want to, before we get to Larisha, I just want to say, y'all hear that? Because Melissa's not here. She was falsely accused, right, Miss Giselle?
Yep.
Falsely accused of what? Stealing marijuana, you say?
No, stealing weave.
Stealing
from
weave. Weave. Oh, wow.
In a county that was about 45 minutes away from where she resided, but is even further away from where she was employed at the time. And because of that, they came in with guns drawn on her entire family.
So stealing weave, as you said, was less than $100. First of all, I don't care if it was $1 million. It's weave, okay? Yep. Stealing weave, they busted in her house at gunpoint, left her son there. How old is her son, or was her son at this time?
He's around 11. And this happened in May. He's 11 and her daughter is 5. Right now, they take, like, because they still have night scares. These children wake up in the middle of the night crying to their mother because of what they went through in this experience. Not only that, they were all just in underwear and undershirts. And the police made her and her daughter get dressed in front of male cops. This sister was half naked. They didn't even have the decency to allow her to put clothes on.
So a 5-year-old.
5-year-old also, and her son was in boxers. And they wouldn't even allow him to go upstairs. They just had guns drawn on everybody.
Over weave that is less than $100.
Yep.
And yet You have the Pentagon that can't account for damn near $9 trillion. They can't account for the hundreds of billions, really trillions, if you consider all the cost of the military and shipment, all those things like that. You have the Pentagon that can't account for trillions of dollars. You have corporations that can't account for hundreds of billions of dollars, and $100 of weed is what they're going all out for. And then in front of Mel Koch, a 5-year-old girl who is still a baby. Miss, I'm going to mute you real quick, just so then I'll bring you on. I'm going to mute you real quick. And you know what's scary? This could happen to any of us, y'all.
Yep.
And she was falsely accused. Well, I want everyone in the chat to hear this. You know, I don't do sensationalism. I want to talk about issues of substance. And yet these are not the issues we talk about enough. This can happen to any one of us. Now, I know some of you think, oh, you see, Marcel, that's why I don't want to run for office, because you see, they'll come after you. Larisha's not running for office. Melissa's not running for office, and it happened to them. So we are not safe because we don't run for office. We are not safe because we don't stand up for our people. It's because not enough of us are standing up for our people that these things happen to us, and there's no one to protect us. There's no consequences for this abuse of us. Larisha, I invite you to tell your story yourself, okay? Larisha, welcome to 50 Shades of Greg with Greg Marcel Dixon, okay?
Hi, how you doing? My name is Larissa. I was a probation officer for 9 years. I was a social worker for 7. But as a probation officer, it was my responsibility to write the reports and conduct the investigation for defendants before their sentence in the state of New Jersey. I did my job with due diligence. I did my job with excellence. And the number one thing they tell you when you're in the workplace, if you see discrimination, if you see if there's a hostile work environment, if you see bullying, report it. I did just that. I reported the managers, the supervisors. When I filed my lawsuit, I filed it against the prosecutor and the public defender because I was holding them accountable for the same expectations they were holding me accountable. Discrimination, harassment, and retaliation was rampant. As a Black woman, I was expected to shut up, see me and my people being violated and discriminated against and not say anything about it. I was brought up on false departmental charges because I reported the now criminal division manager in Middlesex County, New Jersey. And Middlesex County is the same county that Asana Shakur was arrested, charged, and has a warrant out for her arrest in. So I want that to be clear and laid out on the table. And I also wrote about that in my book. As a Black woman, she has had a warrant out for her arrest. And the United States government has had a bounty on her head for over 40 years. And this is the county that I worked in. And 3 Black women are currently suing them now for discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. And I was out on FMLA and I was written up because I reported her for being racist. I cannot find an attorney to take my case. FMLA case is open and shut because either you got it or you don't. Either you approved of it or you're not. If you're out of work, you can't do the work. Your mic is off. Your mic is off.
Larisha, can you please explain FMLA? Because some people may not be familiar with it. So can you just give us a little bit of explanation about that? And then you are dropping some pretty historical jewels about Asana Shakur and how people want to talk about the past. No, what happens in the past is still going to happen in the present until we repair what happens in the past. Hence, reparation, which is definitely that damn chat. But as we see, structural reform repairs needed too. But what is FMLA, just real quick, and then please continue sharing your story with us.
Okay. FMLA is Family Medical Leave. It's the Family Medical Leave Act. The A is at the end. Now, if you are sick, if you're facing any medical conditions, or you have a family member that has any medical conditions, you can take off of work and not be written up on charges or have the fear of losing your job because you're out to care for a sick family member or yourself. You have to have the paperwork certified by a doctor every 6 months, and it's a certain protocol you have to follow. You have to bring in a doctor's note. You have to report it. It's certain things that happen. I had a sick child, and I filled out the paperwork, had FMLA for 7 years at this point. So it wasn't like I was new to this. I didn't know what I was doing. I was worked there since 2012. This time it was 2017. So it wasn't like it was new. And the reason why I brought up the Asani Shakur, because it's very important. I believe I was treated the way I was treated because the state of New Jersey is mad that she got away. They have egg on their face, you know what I mean? Because she is a fugitive from justice. Basically, she's just a black woman who was innocently charged. And any black woman who works there, you're going to be treated and you're going to be disrespected and you're going to be violated because because she got away. So I couldn't find an attorney to take my kid.
How can you get charged for FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act? If they deny it, some people just say, I'm quitting. How is that a crime?
I'm black.
Okay. I've never heard of that. What's the charge?
They charged me with being incompetent and neglecting my duty.
If you're incompetent, don't you just get fired?
Yeah. They fired one of my coworkers for abandoning her job when her doctor refused to medically clear her to return to work. See, this is why I believe it was a money laundering scheme. This is why I wrote the book about it. I believe it was a money laundering scheme. I called the FBI because public corruption, official misconduct, witness tampering, fraud are all white-collar crimes that they don't talk about. But if you don't have any money and you bring a black person up on departmental charges, and you find them guilty and you suspend them, even though they're not guilty, but you still suspend them and they lose that money, that income, that's money laundering. That's fraud. And that's what I believe happened, because it was 6 cases that I did not complete because I was out of work for FMLA. I was out of work. I was not able to complete those cases. So they had to be given to somebody else, but I was out of work because I had to prove FMLA. So what should have happened, which is what happened the 7 years prior, was you assign those cases to somebody else or you change the dates. If I'm out of work, I can't do my work. That's common sense. But as a black woman, no white woman would have been written up for taking off of work to care for her sick child. But as a black woman, I wasn't supposed to fight back. I was just supposed to take the abuse. I had 3 departmental charges from them that were all fraud. That's why I filed my second lawsuit. I have 2 lawsuits against the New Jersey judiciary, one in federal court, one in state court. And again, I do believe it's money laundering. I do believe it's fraud. If you blame black people up on departmental charges for things that they did not commit or for accidents, or you only bring up black people, you don't bring any other race up. Why is that? And there's no one fighting for us, no one holding them accountable, so you get away with it. And when it comes to the money laundering aspect, when you get your pension is based off of 3 years of your highest income. I had a coworker who died because she left there because she got tired of being harassed about the false departmental charges, and her pension was taking a hit. She left work on a Friday. Then next Friday, we got an email that she passed away because of the stress and harassment that you go through there. And I work for the courts. I work for an entire branch of government. And I've been demanding an investigation into this because, again, I could just be making this stuff up. They don't even investigate. My lawsuit was filed in October of 2019. When I got fired in August of 2021, I filed another lawsuit. I'm trying to bring attention to what's going on and what's happening in my case. Nothing. My mentally ill nephew was illegally incarcerated because of my lawsuit. You know, that's one of the reasons why I speak out so adamantly about what happened to me. So with that happening, the hearing officer who heard the departmental charge, found in the favor of the state. I sued her in my lawsuit. I sued the hearing officer, the public defender, the prosecutor, the trial court administration, the HR manager, because you're all committing fraud together. Because you're bringing up black people on departmental charges for charges you know they're not guilty of. So
Melissa, I think we keep losing Melissa. I'm gonna bring her back. Okay, and so let me be clear. First of all, people, she's saying believe in words like, we have to use words like allegedly and believe. That's just the title of my book. Right, that's just what you have to do, because then they'll try to throw a charge as slander or libel. And by the way, a lawsuit is technically allegations, but when you go to court, you're going there to prove those allegations. And it saves a lot when they try to keep things out of court. I'm going through a similar thing with my lawsuit against my former employer, the school district, and recently added James Clyburn and one of his daughters. No attorney would take it. And you know what? I was kind of glad. At first, I was thinking I couldn't do it myself, I did a lot of research, found out there's really nothing to it. What you need to do is get an attorney just to look over it, because you can do a lot of things on your own with artificial intelligence. All you need is someone who has access to the Lexis database to look for precedent, and it is really not that hard, y'all. And then you pay an attorney. Usually you want to get two, because you always want to get that second opinion to look over it. Melissa, welcome to 50 Shades of Grey with Greg Marcel Dixon. I'm not shocked, because nothing in this damn country really shocks me. I get disgusted. Melissa, would you please share how you ended up having your house raided because of weave? And if they would do that to your house over some damn weave less than $100, y'all know they'll find something about me and try to make us some Trump charge how to do the same thing. Melissa, are you there? Okay, I think Melissa has some connectivity. Oh, Melissa. Hey, Melissa, welcome to the show. I'm going to use the right name, right? It's Melissa.
Your mic is off. You got to turn the mic on.
Let me see if I can turn it on. Hey, Melissa. Okay, there you go.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
It's a little muffled, but I can hear you.
Okay. So, yeah, me and my children, actually, I had nothing to do with the incident that happened. It was on. I can't hear you, but I hope you guys can hear me. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, I was home with my children. This happened this year in May. It's May the 26th, 2023. It was on a Friday, and I was getting ready for work. It was around 7.
I think her phone went out again. Services.
Y'all, well, if is her name, her real name is Melissa, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, her name is.
If we have to, I'll get her back on.
Yes.
But let me say something. Okay, Melissa, I just have to ask. Is there a clause when you're working for the federal government that if you take FMLA, you get charged? I need to understand that. And what is the official charge they are levying against you?
No, basically, they said that I neglected my duty because I did not answer an email that was sent when I was out on FMLA. And they basically said that I'm incompetent because the 6 cases that I did not complete because I was out on FMLA. Those were the charges. Now, the year that they're talking about is 2017. My federal lawsuit was from 2017. And in that year, as a probation officer, I completed 202 reports. According to my performance evaluation and my work requirements and my expectations, I was supposed to complete between 140 and 160. I have documentation where they're telling me in a year, this is how many reports you have to do, 140 to 160. I did 202. So how can I be incompetent? I reported she's right now the criminal division manager of Middlesex County, New Jersey, for being racist. And then I was retaliated against and brought up on these bogus charges. That's why I filed the HR manager, because as the HR manager, you're supposed to look at all the evidence given to you, and then the HR manager comes up with a departmental charge. The charge you came up with is fraud. But no one holds them accountable. That's why I was asking for an investigation into the state of New Jersey. My mentally ill nephew has been illegally incarcerated, found guilty of false on charges he should not be found guilty of, and in prison today because of my lawsuit. I was fired from my job because of my lawsuit. They were going after my witnesses, and I charged them with witness tampering because of my lawsuit. I am well aware of the slander. I have a criminal justice degree. I am well aware of the slander and the liable charges. I am making accusations. I'm making very strong and clear accusations. I wrote a book about it. If I am lying, you can bring me up on charges. Exactly. I welcome an investigation into the allegations that I'm stating. I welcome. And again, my mentally ill nephew is being so targeted and harassed. He's being drugged. They're refusing to let his criminal attorney into the prison to see him. They are refusing to give him access to the phone to call home. They are giving him Benadryl twice a day and 2 psychiatric medications. I've been calling. I've given so many people, so many big name people Everybody say, well, contact this person, contact that person. I have. I've given them a copy. I've given them a copy of my book. My website is larishaspeaks.com. My name right there, larishaspeaks.com. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I did a documentary on my case as well, which I paid for and funded, because what happens when you have a civil case in the state of New Jersey, I noticed that what they do is sheriff officer was called the N-word. Once his case was settled, they sealed his documents. So right now you cannot look up documents in regards to that case. I did not want that to happen to me. So I wrote a book about my allegations and my lawsuit, and I did 2 documentaries so that they can never seal. You can't seal my documentary. You can't seal my books, because that's how desperate I am to get out what's happening to me. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to speak on your platform about my story and about my fight, because literally they're going after my nephew because of my lawsuit, and they're getting away with it because I'm a Black woman in America. I'm not protected. And they figured that no one is going to protect. I have nothing. No one's going to protect you. There's no federal laws, state laws. And I accuse them of hate crimes. My lawsuit is very clear. The complaint is very clear on what these people are accused of doing to me. 3 Black women are suing as well. It's not just me. It's 2 other Black women. One who's worked there since 1995. One who's worked there since 2009. It's bad.
So you weren't necessarily wrongly arrested yourself, is that correct?
No.
But your nephew. Yeah. So they brought you up on departmental charges, and because you committed the great sin of being a Black American and stood up for yourself like we've done for centuries, and like they've always done for centuries, they retaliated. And you know what's sad? I bet you there are Black people involved in coming after you, because it's always the Black faces involved. Absolutely. I bet you.
Absolutely. The hearing officer is Black. One of my coworkers who went to them and said I was bullying and harassing her is Black. As a Black woman, me sticking up for myself was an issue for them. When they wrote me up and they said that I was incompetent, they wholeheartedly believed that I was incompetent. But if I'm so incompetent, how can I file a lawsuit against you in federal court with no attorney? How can I then have a lawsuit? I have 2 lawsuits at the same time right now. And I'm so incompetent. How can I do that?
That's a lot of work too, by the way, if people don't know. All right, Melissa, are you back? Yep, it's always Black faces involved. Melissa, are you back? Because I have to hear about why $100, less than $100 worth of weave was so important for them to kick open your door and you didn't even damn do it. Exactly. And have you contacted any of your representatives? Who is your federal congressman for your state, for your district and local? Have they done anything about this? Even if they can't necessarily take endorse your story one way or the other, have they at least said something about how Black Americans, not just said, done something how Black Americans are still being terrorized by the penal system? Y'all know the history. After the end of slavery, this country still wanted to keep us in bondage. So they introduced something called debtor's prison, which pretty much made it illegal for us to breathe, sneeze. We couldn't just stand on a corner. We couldn't make noise in public. We couldn't be unemployed, even though entire industries started because of us. If it wasn't for us, a lot of industries would not exist in America, yet we did not have any ownership like we still don't have now. So because we didn't have any ownership in these industries, we were excluded from employment in these industries. So they arrested you for being unemployed. They then took our land from us, forced us to live on the former enslavers' land, and then said, because you live on this former enslavers' land, you had to pretty much be in a condition that was actually worse than slavery. And if we refused, we were charged. And of course, we couldn't pay the debt because we couldn't get employment outside of being in conditions that was like slavery. So in the South, 95% of all prisoners post-Civil War were Black. So this is not new. The carceral system has always come after us. Melissa, I think we got you now. I can hear you.
Sorry about that.
Please share your story with us.
Yes, thank you. So it was this year, May the 26th on a Friday. I was getting ready for work. I had my 2 children home with me. My son is 11 years old. My daughter she was 4 at the time. And my son came in my bedroom and just started screaming and said, "Mom, I think the police are coming towards your house. I just heard a bunch of doors slamming." So I looked out his window and I saw probably about 15 to 18 police cars, a few unmarked cars outside of my house. I'm like, that's weird. Maybe 3-4 seconds later, you just hear all these booms, kicking, knocks. So I'm like, just trying to, I was about to get in the shower. So I told my son, I said, "Well, let me throw some clothes on."
Yeah, she's at work right now. That's why the service is really bad. She's working while she's trying to do this. So hopefully she can get back on.
Well, Mrs. L, you know her story because you shared the details.
I can get
please.
that part.
Thank you.
Yeah. So.
Oh well, she's back. We're gonna try again. Everyone, thank y'all for bearing with us.
Yes. And good, she's coming back.
Yes,
there you go.
Okay.
Got you.
Sorry.
Yep, you're good.
I don't know why my phone is going in and out. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yep. So, sorry about that. Can you hear me? Yep. So,
yes, we hear you.
Yeah. So just maybe 3/4 before I can even get to the my words up, my son just went downstairs and said, "Mom, I have to open the door. The police are going to kick out door." And they were already storming and kicking out door, banging out doors. So he went downstairs, but my son was already getting ready for school. So he was just in his underwear. So he opened the door and they said, "Is Melissa home? Melissa Brooks home?" He said, "Yeah, that's my mom." And I'm yelling downstairs and say, "Guys, give me a minute. I'm putting my clothes on. I'm not sure what's going on. Give me a second. Please allow my son to come back upstairs." So they said, they told my son he could not come back upstairs because he needed to wait for me to come downstairs. So my son, they made him stand downstairs in his underwear for 45 minutes. So I told them, "Let me put some clothes on." So I was getting dressed. I was trying to get dressed. Before I knew it, before I could even put on a t-shirt, a female cop came upstairs. A minute later, 3 U.S. men, 3.
I don't know if her phone is freezing because of her location, and because she's working, she can't get out of that area. But 3, that was U.S. Marshals that came up and told her she had to. She was like, "Look, I think you got the wrong house. I'm on my way to go to work." And then they made her. They was like, "No, this is we're here for an arrest warrant." And she was like, "You have the wrong person," because I'm not that type of person. I work a job. I have my children. And the whole time they didn't care. Especially the female cop was really nasty to her. And that's how it usually is.
Yeah.
So the woman cop was treating her really nasty, but she had to get dressed with her daughter in front of these male cops. And the daughter was traumatized because they don't understand. They on their way to summer camp. Or it was like either summer school or summer camp. It's May, so it was school. So she's on her way to school, and they're all getting dressed. She called her mother to tell her to come, and get the kids because she didn't want them to go with them. And the whole time, like, her family showed up. Thank God they don't live too far away, and they were able to get the children. But they took her, handcuffed her, made her walk, like handcuffed her, put her behind put her in the van or the police car, and they shipped her to the police station. And then not only did they hold her in a cell, she was in the cell and she kept saying, "Y'all got the wrong person. Look at y'all information. Something got to be wrong." So when she gets to the prison, they completely disrespected her because they're not used to people getting out of jail. So the correctional officers were treating her real nasty. Like, yeah, whatever. Everybody that come in here say they're about to get out. And these are the things they're taunting her. And she's already going through it. She didn't eat anything the whole day. It was just a traumatizing situation. But I think it was that evening or the next day is when she got out of prison. I got out of the jail. So, long story short, she wasn't guilty. The person, matter of fact, she had nothing to do with the situation. The person's name only came up because she had a car accident with the person. Not that person, but somebody with the same damn name. So you get in a car accident with a person. Now it's a possibility they come and kicking in your door.
I don't care if she was guilty and she stole $100,000 worth of weave. Okay, I wouldn't care. But the fact that it's under $100, because first of all, you don't bust nobody's house at gunpoint or so damn here. Now when we got bigger, more severe crimes, you got people who have raped and murdered people who don't even get a damn slap on, don't even get a slap on the wrist. Hell, they get a pat on the back and they get let out. But for them to be nasty, bust in the door, is there something? Is Melissa active in the community? Is someone targeting her? Because this sounds almost like a damn hit job. That's
she's back.
Like.
She's back, and she's right here. Oh, she was back. Long story short, she's the everyday person that goes to work. That's what she do. She goes to work and come home with her kids.
This can happen to a black mother who just goes to work, come home, doesn't get involved in anything, minds her business, like I think most Americans do, black, white, or whatever. If this can happen to her, and she's not involved in politics, y'all. She ain't running for office. She's just minding her business. Like Breonna Taylor was minding her business. Like what was her name? Antiana Jefferson.
Yeah, she's back, Marcel.
Antiana Jefferson was minding her business. What makes us think by not standing up for ourselves, we're going to be safe? Melissa, we got you again.
Yep. So I'm sorry. Thank you, Tiffany, for filling them in. I do apologize. My cell phone.
Oh, you're fine.
I think it might be the audio, but thanks, Tiffany, for filling them in. And you were 100% correct. I'm happy I shared that story with you. But yes, so my mom came, my sister came, trying to figure out what was going on. I tried to fill them in as much as I could, but I was confused. I just said they're taking me to jail. Something about a robbery in Howard County. So my mom, she knows my character. My sister, they were freaking out like, okay, this is weird. You talking about robbery? We're all freaking out. I might be stuck in there for a while. I mean, it's Memorial Day weekend. So anyway, I get to central bookings, the correctional officers, really nasty conditions in there. No hand soap. Already have anxiety. I'm freaking out. They did not allow me to take my medication. I sat in the precinct inside the jail for probably about 8 hours. Then I saw the commissioner. The commissioner, I had a lawyer. I was fortunate enough to have a lawyer. My mother did hire me an attorney to defend me at the bail review. So, she told my lawyer explained to the commissioner that I'm a social work director. I've been working in public service for 21 years. I'm not a flight risk. I'm a single mother, 2 children. He said, please let her out. Okay, so my the commissioner did let me out that day. So I sat in, like I said, for about 8 hours. So I went home. I looked at the charge paper.
Oh no, she's out again. It's the job location. She looked at the charge papers and she saw the name of the person. The person name was not anything related to anybody that she would even know. The charge papers basically had it had the person that it's the same name as the person she got in an accident with. The only difference was the person she got in the accident was a man, and this woman who did the crime was a woman. It was actually 2 women. And I think the Asian cop, the Asian store owner is the one who pointed her out, saying that she was part guilty in this. Here it is, you got your stores in our community, and you're not even getting the stories right. And then they did all of this for them saying, reporting this crime.
So, eyewitness, y'all do realize a lot of the wrongful convictions of Black Americans was because someone just took a look and said, "Oh, I think it's him," and they said, "Okay, that's all we need." So you having a 5-year-old daughter, an 11-year-old son, that meant nothing to them. Just like they would snatch our children out of our hands before they came out of the womb, or after we raised them up and sell them off right in front of us. This is still the same system in which we're dealing. Melissa, so Mr. Zell's kind of giving us the gist, and you kind of give us the gist. Is there anything you would like to add?
So yes. So basically, when I came home, I found out that the detectives rushed the investigation. They did not even look up the associates of the woman who committed the crime, named Vontae Smith. They had the names mixed up. I'm only associated by a man named Vontae Smith because of a car accident from 2 years ago. He tried to sue me 2 years ago. That got thrown out. But however, that man had nothing to do with this incident that occurred at the hair store. So the preliminary hearing came. They dropped the robbery charge down to a theft. Meanwhile, I'm pretty much out of my part-time job. I almost lost my full-time job, but my supervisor went to bat for me and just said, and plus, hold on, this is the main thing. This is the only reason why I was able to keep my full-time job at the time. It was because I worked for the same company. So luckily, she was able to pull up my time card and they said, okay, what day did this incident occur? I showed them my charge papers and they had Melissa Brooks was in the hair store on May the 26th, 2022. This happens last year. And it said between 3 to 4 o'clock. And she said, let me look at your time record. And she confirmed that I clocked in at work at 9:54 a.m. that day. And I didn't clock out to 11:02 p.m. that day.
Yes. So she was able to now she was able to clear herself because she was at work. Now imagine if she didn't go to work that day and she was just at home with her kids. You see? And these are the things, and even with, you didn't do it, then at this point it's hearsay. It's your word against theirs. And most of the time on these levels, they make sure that their word stands above everyone.
So, first of all, Larisha, I know you mentioned having a book. Is there a website? To where people can go to know more about your story? And first of all, has the Black media, because we really don't have one, has the Black media reached out to you? Any of these Black channels?
No, I did reach. I've been trying to reach out to everybody that I can reach out to. I did reach out to the African American Disparage Network, and they did a report on it in 2021. I'm having issues where my phone is tapped, so I'm unable to send text messages. I'm unable to send emails, and that's why I was asking for the public to help share my story because I'm unable to contact them. I've contacted all of them, but I need help with that. That's why I'm so glad Mr. Zell asked me, if I wanted to do your show, because I need as much help as I possibly can. My website, all my social media, my handles are LarishaSpeaks.com. LarishaSpeaks.com is my website. On TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Larisha Speaks. I have a YouTube, Larisha Speaks. Everything is Larisha Speaks. And I'm speaking about what happened to me and what happened to my mentally ill nephew because of my lawsuits against the New Jersey judiciary.
I hate to say this, but people tend, like someone said in the chat, people tend not to give a damn, even some of our so-called people, unless it happens to them. And then, oh God, we need help. This is not right. Melissa?
Yes.
Are you in the clear now, or are you still facing the ramifications of this?
So the charges were eventually dropped about 2 weeks after preliminary hearing because the excuse I got why I wasn't dropped at the preliminary, they said because it was a junior prosecutor.
Your phone is going in and out. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Mrs. Zell, maybe you can give us.
It was like 2 months that were dropped. So they were actually dropped July the 28th. They were dropped July the 28th. So I was just cleared from what I'm cleared to go back to work.
How long did it take you to get them dropped, and how much has it cost you?
To go back to my part-time job. I was just pretty. How much did it cost me? Well, for my defense attorney, I paid, it was maybe $2,800. And I just missed maybe 2-3 weeks at my part-time job, but I've been okay. I missed about 3 days at my full-time job just between like court and the day that. So no.
Yes, I can hear you guys. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So Melissa, your phone is going in and out.
My phone is breaking up again.
Yeah, it's just a little static in the background, but I want to make sure that everyone is hearing everything that you're saying. So what were you saying about the charges were dropped on July the 28th, and now she's going to you're doing a civil court trial, correct? Civil case. Can you hear?
No, I think
I know it's so terrible. These phones are something else, but she is working. I mean, she's a single mom of 2 kids. And like I was saying, this is a sister. You miss 2 weeks, 3 weeks from work. It changes your life.
I couldn't afford $2,800. That's not a small amount of money. And Larisha, how about yourself? Because I know filing a federal lawsuit costs us money.
Yes, I've been blessed.
Which means you're representing yourself.
Yes, I've been blessed. My main focus now, like my lawsuits, I don't want to say they're in the bag, but my case against them is airtight. My main focus right now is my nephew. And thank God Kyrie Irving donated to his GoFundMe. So I asked Kyrie Irving. Yes, I asked Kyrie Irving to donate. Kyrie Irving donated to his GoFundMe. I want to give him a shout out. He is for the people. I love him. But it's just, I'm having an issue with the fact that they wanted his attorney into the prison. So you can have the money for the attorney, but they're not letting the attorney's a black man. They're not letting the black man into the prison. And I'm asking for the people to, like, literally today I called the prison to schedule a visit. They're saying he's not there. They don't know where he is. They're refusing to tell me. So I need the public to help me raise HELL because they're trying to get away with what they're doing to me. And I just need the public. If you could just share my story. I have videos on my website that if you could share those videos. The documentary trailer is out. I funded my own documentary myself. Unfortunately, I have no money and I'm broke, but I've been blessed and highly favored. So I can't really complain, but I just need real help with sharing my story because what happened to me is happening in broad daylight.
What is your GoFundMe for your nephew? Because first of all,
I took it down.
How do you lose someone in prison?
That's the thing. They're medicated, they're drugging him, they're over medicating him, and they're telling the officers are telling inmates that he's in the prison for rape, and they're only doing this because of me. They have a videotape to exonerate him. Let's be clear, there's a videotape of somebody assaulting him. They refuse to give that videotape over to his attorney. You cannot do that. And every time I tell somebody what's happening to me, what's happening to my nephew in regards to this case, they always tell me they can't. I know they can't do that, but they're doing it. That's why I'm singing it like Toni Braxton, and I'm trying to get the word out what is happening to me. And that's why even on social media, I'm so blocked. I go live on TikTok, and someone is saying, "Well, I can't see this page, your Twitter page. I can't do this." They are actively blocking me from getting my story out and from me getting help with my story. Every time the news is in Plainfield right now because of some apartment complexes, I'm going out to the reporter saying, "Why are you not doing my story? Why are you not doing my story?"
I am going through something similar. No, I don't have a nephew that's been arrested wrongly or things like that. But yes, the blacklisting, the trying to shut you out of the media, they do all of it. What is your GoFundMe page, please?
Actually, once he donated, because he donated more than what I was asking, I took the GoFundMe down. Okay. But my Cash App is Larisha Speaks. If anybody would like to donate, I never did a Cash App for me personally because I don't like how they treat freedmen, and as a freedman, I take it personally. But if anybody would like to help and donate for me, my Cash App is Larisha Speaks.
And can I just add real quick? Everything with both of these sisters, they're funding it out of their own pockets. Larisha's your mom, right? Or your auntie?
No, auntie, I'm a mother. I have 2 kids.
Oh yeah, so she's a mom and an auntie. And we have our sister Missy, who is also a mom. And these sisters, not all of this money is going out. They are expecting to kind of like bankrupt them before they even get justice.
That's what they try to do.
So all donations, and all donations are necessary. This sister, and this is why we're on this campaign for Guilty Until Proven Guilty and the Voice to the Voiceless tour. We will be hitting any podcast because if they won't allow us to make the sounds, our people are going to make the sounds ourselves.
Yeah, they will do that. If you go pro se, which means you're representing yourself, they think, okay, well, let's just kill them procedurally. Foul motion, foul motion, foul motion. That's why it's best to represent yourself because I don't need to pay me. Okay, Larisha?
I did once when I filed my federal lawsuit. I did get an attorney to help me with that, so I do have an attorney for that now, and I also have an attorney for my state case. But the thing is, My case is in Somerset County. Somerset County, there are no civil trials. They literally shut down. There are no civil trials in the county where I'm having my case at. So they filed a motion to dismiss. We won against that motion, and now there are no civil trials. It's only mandatory mediation, which is confidential, and mandatory settlement, which is confidential. That's why, again, I'm singing it like Toni Braxton about what happened to me. New Jersey is home of 3 very famous cases of corruption that I'm trying to bring attention to. Ruben Hurricane Carter is a New Jersey corruption case. Asana Shakur, New Jersey corruption case, and Isaac Wright, a New Jersey corruption case. So I'm trying to tell
his name if you feel comfortable sharing it.
I don't, because he's still incarcerated, and because with people harassing him over the GoFundMe. I do have some stuff. If people go to my website, if you Google my name, you'll see all my court documents up there, so that you can see what the court filings that I filed, the court filings that they filed, and I'm trying to get as many people to see those as possible, because they're trying to seal the documents once this case is settled.
Well, let me tell you something. I had my one. I don't want to get my family member. He may not like me mentioning whatever. I had a family member, very close relative. Sometimes they don't even get to the wrongful conviction part. Sometimes they just kill you right there. My family member was accused of trying to murder cops, and they shot at him like over 56 times. Not a bullet grazed him. He was found not guilty. Now, where have you heard of a black man being found not guilty of being accused to kill cops? Okay, so y'all, police brutality is not just them unjustly killing us. It's also us being wrongly arrested. It's also them physically assaulting us when we are pulled over. It's also them. First of all, this is those who are wrongly imprisoned. We haven't even talked about the people who are sitting in jail right now who have not been found guilty of anything. They're just waiting for a trial, okay? There is so much to unpack with this criminal injustice system. How do we solve this issue? Well, we're being ran over. We're going to continue to be ran over if we don't run for office. Larisha, I heard that you're planning to do that now.
I'm absolutely, because of the corruption I faced in this case, I've always wanted to be governor. I said, I'm going to run for governor for the state of New Jersey, because the fact that the Attorney General from the state of New Jersey, which is in charge of the prosecutors, the Department of Corrections, the State Parole Board, nobody is investigating any of my allegations. I'm calling them. I'm having the public calling them. I'm tweeting them. Just today, I tweeted the FBI. Like, I called the FBI to report the public corruption. They asked me literally, why are you calling me? Public corruption is you cannot allow them to have his witness tampering, fraud. These are white collar crimes. I wanted to file in my lawsuit RICO charges against them, but only the state. But I have to go to the Attorney General or the state so they can file RICO charges. So I'm asking for an investigation. Nobody's even investigating the allegations. I'm just being silenced and nobody is talking. 3 black women have a lawsuit against an entire branch of government and no one's talking about it. No one's talking about it.
I have a U.S. congressman that is all part of my lawsuit. You think that will get some headlines, but no one's strangely talking about it because people are cowards and punks. I'm talking about our own people too. Cowards, punks, and selfish. A lot of us, not all, but a lot of us. I hope that bring you. My platform is small. You know, I'm shadow banned too, like you're saying. I'm shadow banned on social media. I'm shadow banned in the local media to a great extent. But you know what? You have to be like that wolf. You have to howl, and there's a wolf that's going to hear you. Okay? There's a wolf that's going to hear you. And also, we've been through worse than this in our experience in this nation we built and we've overcome. We're going to overcome this too. And now we're in a new era. It's not new, but it's a new iteration of the reparations movement where we are speaking out and standing up. Let me tell you something. They think they can tire us out, but see, they don't realize some of us, we don't necessarily get tired. We get more determined. Okay. It's like, okay, the more you come, the more determined I am. And I hope y'all listen. If we had people who were on cold, who were in positions of power who were truly for our people. They don't have to be white, by the way. I think when we say someone who's for our people, we think of another freedman FBA, another Black Americans, a descendant of American slaves. No, it can be an ally. They're few in number, but there are some out there. It doesn't matter who. If you are truly for Black Americans, you are not going to change things sufficiently enough systemically to the point where these type of stories would stop happening. It is unacceptable, like a lot of damn things in this nation, that we are, in some reports, 60% of those sitting behind prison right now. And here's the sad thing. According to every report on the matter, most people who are exonerated or who are innocent of crimes never get exonerated. They're dead already. Okay? You'll have to read this link here. Here, please read this thing here. Read that damn report. And the one I posted the first time. Where are our advocates? Illegal immigrants literally break the law, come into the country. They were separated from their child because they were put in custody like they should have been. And there was massive outcry about it. Okay? There was a Cuban man. I don't know what race he wants to identify, so I'm going to say he was Cuban. I mean, mixed race, looked a little more on the blacker side, but it doesn't matter. He caused an accident that killed like 8 damn people, and he got something like 300 years, which, he's not going to live that long. There was massive outcry. They decreased his sentence to like 15 years. These other groups can literally do wrong. You have that white guy up there in Massachusetts who hit the girl, got off with it. There's many examples of that. You remember the influenza teen who was driving drunk? How old is your nephew, Larissa?
At the time, his mental health, he was 18.
So you have the influenza teen who was around that same age, drove drunk, killed 7 to 10 or 11 people. Some of them, he was driving so fast and hit them with so much force, their bodies exploded. They were collecting their limbs, yards away from where he hit them. Got off. Then caught him drinking. Still got off.
And this is why I wrote my book. I'm sorry, but I wrote my book, and because I have a criminal justice degree, I wrote my book, and I basically found out the criminal justice degree. I basically have my analysis of it, and it's basically to keep Black people enslaved. The 13th Amendment says except as a punishment for a crime. So that's why we were immediately charged with the things we're charged with, and the U.S. government has been consistently making sure that Black people are found guilty, so we can fund, because slavery is not ended. It just was transformed what makes you a slave. And so that they can fund the same slavery system that happened back in the day is happening right now. And that's why, as a Black person, I can be brought up on false departmental charges. It's the same thing that's happened to employees. I reported something, so to try to discredit my lawful claims, they come with these departmental charges against me, and they would tell me, well, we found you guilty. Like, you would try to brainwash me into believing that I was guilty of charges that I know I didn't commit. And that's why I keep speaking of it, and I keep advocating for it, because the criminal justice system literally brainwashes and beat people into believing that they'll get to their charges. And if you don't have the money, or you don't have an attorney to advocate for you appropriately in court, you can forget about it. And they know this, because white people who are guilty, who have murdered people in cold blood, are innocent. They go to court, they go to trial, they're innocent. But Black people who are innocent get found guilty. That's not an accident. That's not an anomaly. That is something that's done on purpose. But we don't challenge the court system. We don't call it illegitimate. And that's what we really have to start doing. Reparations is deserved not because of what happened to our ancestors, but it's currently what's happening to us as well. It's in the housing, in the banking, in the criminal justice system, in the education system. They are doing that to us now, consistently.
Y'all, it can happen to you. It can happen to me. It can happen tonight. Don't be scared. Be prepared. And again, imagine if Melissa had some people who were truly pro-Freeman, pro-Black American, pro-foundational Black American. They will be on it. That's why reparations is definitely that check. That's non-negotiable. That's an essential component. But we also need that structural reform. That's why on my platform, I say bring back the Freedmen's Bureau. We need an agency that will be separate from the government, will get a budget from the government, like Native Americans get a check from the government. They can spend it how they see fit. We will get a budget from the government. We will be separate, have our own autonomy. That will advocate for us and only us. We will have our historically Black colleges and universities, and we will also now start new Black colleges and universities, specifically lineage-based for freedmen, foundational Black Americans. We need to have almost a manufacturing line of our lawyers who are on code, not these boule, detached, snobbish, a lot of times raccoonish ones we got now. We need to have, and I don't know if y'all know this, during the era of the Civil War, during the era of Reconstruction after the Civil War, we had our own judicial system. There was literally freedmen courts. I don't know to what extent, I haven't investigated that much. We had our own judicial system. That's what we need. That's why I am for us having lineage autonomy, our own judicial courts, our own policing, our own schools, banks, hospitals. It has been shown in education, in healthcare, in law enforcement, the only in the judicial system, when you have another Black person, and sometimes they're letting dusties out, and it ain't always a good thing. Sometimes some of these Black people need to be behind bars. But here's the problem. If they're locking people up for every little thing, they're doing it retaliatory, the real disgusting criminals are running them up. But when Black people have Black doctors, Black judges, Black police officers, Black teachers, okay, the outcome for Black people is far more positive. The only area where having a Black person doesn't mean a goddamn thing positive for us is politics. That's the only area where we can get a Black face, and not only will we not have a positive outcome, we're going to actually suffer more. Look at me, living in the 6th poorest district, U.S. congressional district in the United States of America. Out of the 436, I am in the 6th most impoverished district, and we have a Black congressman, James Clyburn, who's been over for 31 years. And instead of him being more bothered by the things about which I criticize him, I never said it's all his fault. I know the systemic conditions are all his fault. I blame him for being willing to go to bat for these other communities, do things specifically for them, and not for his own lineage. That's why I blame him. James Clyburn has power. He knows his way around Washington. If he was actually trying to fight for us and failed, I can actually admire how he's worked himself up the ranks. But he didn't do it that for us. He actually has scorn. He actually has a strong distaste, condescension for us. You can tell by the way when you approach about anything specifically for Freedom Foundational Black Americans that he knows exactly what I mean when I say those terms. He definitely knows freedmen. He knows that means that there's a Black descendant of American slave emancipated people. You should see the disdain he has for us. Instead of being more upset about the conditions we're in, he's more upset that I criticize him publicly. He's more upset that he feels like he's being called out. The only area where we don't do better in our lives, where we have a Black face, is in politics. That's why we got to replace them, y'all, or you're going to be seeing more Larisha nephews. You're going to be seeing more Melissas. It's happening right now. There's probably thousands of these stories happening, and they're not getting any attention. Where's our Black media? We get our reparations. We start our own Black media, our own freedmen courses, things of that nature. Larisha, so you wanted to say something.
No, I was saying you was preaching the word, because my U.S. Senator is Cory Booker. Oh. My U.S. House of Representatives is Bonnie Watson Coleman. They are both Black. I reach out to them because my thing is what they're doing to me. It's out in the open. They're playing in our face. And I went to the Black U.S. representative. I can't help you with it. I have to help you with it. It's got to be a federal case. Bonnie Watson Coleman haven't even returned any of my calls. I can't even get them to engage into what's going on. And they're Black. Yeah, no, and that's why I expect the people, the congressmen have been bought and sold, and that's one reason why I was scared, because you can't. My soul is not for sale. When I filed my lawsuit, I said it was due to white supremacy and the way Black people were treated. Black people, not just myself, the other people I work with were scared. And because they were scared and they were fearful, I said, I'm willing to take this. I'm willing to stand up and represent for everybody. You don't have to say anything. Now they want to be witnesses and they want to talk. But at the end of the day, if I allow them to do this to just me, and I work there, a Black person charged with a crime in Middlesex County doesn't have a chance. So I understand the impact of my life, and the impact that my lawsuit and my book has had, because I'm literally fighting white supremacy, because they have created a way to cover up these lawsuits. If you file a federal discrimination lawsuit, you can only get $300,000. If you file it against a public agency, documents are sealed. Once those documents are sealed, no one can talk about what happened to those cases. So then things go away. And when you Google discrimination lawsuits, no more documentation is on it. I wrote my book, so mine can never be what happened to me, what happened to my nephew can never be not necessarily denied, but it can always be on the forefront, because I understand the impact to help my people. If somebody's being charged with a crime, wait a minute, this is what you did to this Black officer, or somebody else who's worked there and they experienced the same thing. I'm not going to help you cover up your crimes against me and my people. So I understand that, and they might not understand it for 50 years. That's okay. I understand my fight. I overstood the assignment.
Me too. I said, even if I lose, I've already won just by standing the hell up. Okay, I've won, and so have you. And let me show y'all something. I just want y'all to understand the gravity. And by the way, I wanted to like Cory Booker. I really did, because he actually at times gets it, but he is such a milquetoast and such a sellout, catering to these Hispanic Latinos that don't like his Black behind because he thinks he can fit in with them. But that's a whole other conversation for a whole other day. But look at this, y'all. I want y'all to see this. Out of the 1,167 exonerations for murder, 628 of them were Black. And these are the ones we know of, by the way. These ain't the other Black people who just never got that quote-unquote lucky. This is a problem. We have to run for office. If you don't want to run for office, then you get out in the streets and you find someone who's willing and you work your tail off to be on that campaign team. Okay? You are either going to be the candidate or you're going to be the candidate's team working day and night. Ms. Giselle, Ms. Larisha, any last words? Ms. Larisha, you first, and then I'll come back. Ms. Giselle, I'll circle back to you.
Okay.
I just want to thank you guys for giving me a platform to speak about it. I really do appreciate you. I thank you for your fight, Marcel. I thank you, Ms. Giselle, for bringing my case and attention to him. And I just ask, if anybody wants any more information, you can go to larishaspeaks.com. Larisha Speaks is down there.com, and all my information, my TikTok, my Twitter, my Instagram, and I'll try to post if I'm not shadow banned. But I thank you.
I think Marcel went out. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. Oh, he's fixing it now, I think. Yeah, I think he's somewhere. But can you hear me though? You can. Okay, so
yeah, StreamYard's been acting up, y'all. I've been kicked out of my own stream.
I saw it a couple of times.
Right, Ms. Giselle.
Yep. And just to give you guys some insight, and then to close out just on a few things, when we talk about the conviction rates, we're talking about we being 15% of the population, 53% of the conviction rate. That's just as of the data of last September. Imagine how many people are not even being accounted for.
Exactly.
And imagine all of these people who are actually dying. Imagine the families who are sitting waiting for their trial to convict them for things that they did not do. So this is why we're sitting here fighting for reparations. It's beyond anything. It's beyond a handout. This is beyond a handout. we know that we are directly targeted by this country. Everything we do is criminalized. You can tell that just by who's sitting outside of Home Depot right now versus those who were arrested for doing the same thing and they made laundering a crime. So on that note, I say we're going to keep fighting. We're going to be hitting a podcast near you, and we're going to be bringing more people's stories because this matters. All of the things that we're going through right now is just building our case for our reparations claim, and it will not be silenced because we will make it televised. And on that note, thank you, Marcel, so much for hosting this.
Thank you, Mrs. L. Let me say, y'all, I have not my biological cousin, but I always tell you about my grandfather, who was Puerto Rican, but he wasn't my biological grandfather. But he was like my grandfather in every way that mattered. Name was Raphael Cosme. He had a son, Michael Cosme. If you're in New York City, you probably know about this case. His son, as far as the story's been told to me, was with a group of people who supposedly robbed a taxi driver. One of them killed the taxi driver. He just happened to be with the group. I don't even think he was with the group when it happened. I don't know all those details. However, he was thrown in prison. 19 years later, I think it was in 2015, 16-ish, they exonerated him. Trauma, that's why I called my grandfather, died while Michael Cosme, his son, was incarcerated. They spell Cosme C-O-S-M-E. You can look it up yourself. His father, Trauma, my grandfather, spent so much money, lost so many nights of sleep fighting to get his son out of prison, knowing his son did not commit that crime. His father died while he was in prison. This, even when people get exonerated, think about the years lost. Think about the loved ones who died and whose funeral they could not even go to. Think about the loved ones who did not get to spend time with. They were robbed. We have been robbed of so much in this country. I love studying Black inventors. And I've read so many quotes from Black inventors who, because they were Black, their inventions that revolutionized the world, that were quoted in patent applications by white inventors and inventors of other racial groups, ethnicities. But the Black inventor, for example, Marie Van Brittan Brown, the woman who invented the world's first home security system along with her husband, she never benefited from it. The woman, I believe her name was Marie Joyner, who invented the sanitary belt. She said when she got the patent, she said she imagined cars and homes and wealth for her family. And she said when she saw her invention rejected, not because it was not an invention that was revolutionary, but because she was a Negro, she said in a flash, she saw all her dreams dash in front of her. Charles Page, y'all need to look this man up. This man is new to me. Charles Page, a Black American, Freeman FBA from Louisiana. I did not know this. He had what is believed, her name's Mary Kenner. Okay, sorry, wrong name. She had, that's right, I think Marie Joyner is the woman who did this, the waving something. Okay, Mary Kenner, sorry. Charles Page was the first man, or at least one of the first people, period, to get a patent for an airplane. Now, his airplane was a very rudimentary design. It flew with balloons. But this was before we took to the skies. He did it before the Wright brothers. You can say his design was primitive or what? Before a Black man who was born enslaved to come up with a machine that flew? That shows that slavery didn't teach us a goddamn thing. We were self-taught. We didn't benefit from slavery. This country benefited from chattel slavery. We haven't gotten where we're old yet to say we've benefited. And he tried to ship his airplane to some type of show some type of competition where if you won, you would get $100,000, but at that time it would be $1 million. And the model of his airplane that he sacrificed to design, that he sacrificed to get shipped, disappeared. No one knows what happened to it, but it was suspected, and rightfully so, that because he was a black man, Freeman FBA in the country he built, his model was destroyed. After that, he got so discouraged, he gave up on it altogether. This was a black man who looked at the way dragonflies flew in Louisiana and said, I want to build a machine that can take us humans to the sky, and he did it. I don't know what my great-grandfather feels about the GI Bill. I never speak with him about it, but my cousins have, and he doesn't want to talk about it. But I do know in an article that just came out about the GI Bill and how black soldiers were mainly left out and excluded from it because of their race. One guy and his wife were going to apply for the benefits of the GI Bill, to go to school, to buy a home. That was the main thing. And he said to his wife, you know, the wife was more excited about a home and a new kitchen. He was more excited about getting a new car. And he said to his wife, can you imagine what we're going to be able to do now? Went there, said, Negroes, no need apply. Do y'all realize the millions and millions and millions of stories of deprivation and robbery that we could tell as Black Americans who are descendants of American slaves and people who were emancipated in this country? For us not to run for office to get what we are owed, for us not to work our tail off supporting those who are running for office to get what we are owed, it's really an act of cowardice. It really is. These stories are going to happen more and more and more. They're not decreasing. Black women dying from childbirth. I read an article like 3 months ago. It's actually increasing. With all the attention that's been given to that supposed, that crisis, and us having a Democratic administration, which we should have known wasn't going to do a damn thing good for us. They only care about the illegals, everyone that's not us. With all of that, and black women are still dying from just something as simple as childbirth, more likely to die than women in countries like war-torn Syria. The only people who will stand up for us is us. I'm banning this person. I don't know what this person means by slavery is fake, but you're going to get in my chat with that nonsense. Now, I'm not sure what you're trying to say. I'm not sure you said slavery didn't happen. That's how I'm interpreting that. But that's what you're saying. You're going to my chat with that nonsense. Matter of fact, that's what you're going to do. Goodbye. So, y'all, it can happen to any of us. Melissa is just a mother who was working, raising her children, and looked at what happened to her. So start thinking not running for office, keeping your head low is going to make you safe. It's because everyone thinks that and don't run for office, don't stand up for us, that these things can happen to us, and they are, and they're happening increasingly. Thank y'all. Y'all take care. Until next time.